I want to show you something that's truly scary. A century ago, it was typical to take your kids to a photo studio, like the Paulson Studios. And I'm grateful my grandparents did, because I have no other picture of my dad. Here he is. This is a photo taken over 100 years ago. And I asked AI, Flux AI, what it thought of this photo. And this is what it said. And then I said, can you bring it to life somehow? Make my dad come alive. And this is what it did. A truly bizarre image. I have no idea what that onion's doing flying out of the bin. It's developed its own understanding of how a human body, how a human baby works. I said, do it again. And it did this. The spade standing by itself, I don't quite get that, but isn't that astonishing? Now, AI is not just a tool. It's not just a sharper chisel. It's the carpenter. It's actually looked at that, used its imagination with its knowledge of how a baby works, how the mechanics of the infant child, body and limbs and clothing, and it's come up with this all by itself. All I did was give it the original picture. I said, have another go. Why don't you try again? Make it a bit more realistic. And here's the third attempt. Look at this. Absolutely realistic. When he wants to put the ball in the bucket, he has to lean forward and that puts his weight on the spade. That is amazing. Here's another one. This is my mum's family. Down on the bottom right with the ponytails is my mum. Sadly, all three of her elder siblings standing at the back died at age 21. One drowned, one was killed in the war, and one died in a farm accident. If ever there's going to be a test of your faith, that would be it. So that's the family I never knew. The only ones I knew were my mum and her little sister Ruth. So I said to AI, what can you do with this? And it made a complete mess of it. So that one didn't work at all. Let's carry on. This is my mum, aged about 20, I think. So here's what I asked AI to do. A beautiful young lady with movie star looks, winks and smiles at the camera with gentle affection. And this is what it did to my mother. I never knew her at that age, but I imagine that's pretty good. The mannerisms are exactly right. Very, very creepy. Next up, my dad again. Here he's out for a stroll. He was a bit of a strapping young lad, my dad. I've got quite a few photos of him going out with various young women. So here he is, teenage dad. And I said to AI, can you bring this one to life? Now what it doesn't understand is this was shot in the 1930s. So I don't quite get the guy in the orange jacket and sneakers. That's a bit weird. And he's got an Asian kind of face, as does his girlfriend. So I said, have another go. And it's equally bizarre. That's not my dad. But just look at the processing power that AI has put into this. To get the clothes right, to get the jaunty stride, all the people moving in the background. The processing power to do that is just incredible. I'm blown away. Here's Dad again. He's come home on leave during the war, and once again he's suddenly developed an Asian face. I don't know where that's come from. I don't know who his date is, but that's clearly the centre of Brisbane, where he lived. The classic jaunty stride that he never lost, but I don't know who the lass is. Home on leave in 1943, a brief respite from the war. Dad was in the Navy, and he bought for £20 this Morris Cowley. Here's what I asked AI to do, and it made a complete mess of it. So I said, try again, and he suddenly turned into Elvis crossed with Michael Schumacher. That's a bit weird, and look, what a weird thing to do to that car. Look, starts as two cars and becomes one very bizarre looking car. The photo goes from black and white to coloured, and it's just weird. Now here's me. It's December 1957. I'm almost 6 months old, and the brief was very simple. A 6-month-old baby is fascinated by a newspaper. Bring it to life, AI. Now, I can't quite remember it. I was there at the time, but I imagine that's pretty much how it happened. I said, have another crack, do it again. This time it's added a little bit of colour, and it's inserted parts of my body that weren't visible in the first shot, that it didn't even know about. Can you pick me? Yes, that's me there. Go ahead, AI, bring us all to life. And it's turned us into a bunch of sort of fuzzy-faced aliens. That didn't work at all. No, that's a fail. Mum and Dad, 1970, I suppose, something around there. That is Dad to a T, but that's not Mum. She would not laugh like that. She was much more demure. So I said, have another go. And AI's done a better job this time. I remind you, this was not a video. This was just a single still photo. And that's what AI has done. It's shown creativity. Now have a look in the background of the first one. You see they're toasting, they're raising a glass. But in the second one, he's passing him something which they're reaching out to take. AI has used its imagination. I haven't told it anything about what to do, but it's said, these are people, this is what's going on, they're in a restaurant, I'll create a story to tell it. It's used its imagination to fill in the blanks here. And that is what I think is incredible at AI. It's creative. That one has absolutely captured my mum and dad very, very well. And a bit later in life, Dad was chilling under a tree. What can you do with that? There's some bizarre artifacts going on in the background there, but yeah, that's pretty right. And we come forward in time, 1986, I think that is, and it's me. Yes, this is me, a skinny version of me, winning a marathon in Canberra. It was a 1 mile marathon, which sounds bizarre, but you ran the same mile 26 times back and forth in the pitch dark. So what I had is this jacket that I pulled on for the last half mile or so with bright light up LEDs on the lapel so people could see me coming out of the dark to win the race in around 2:35 or something like that for the marathon, which is not bad. So here's what AI has done to animate me. I'm not travelling nearly fast enough, but pretty amusing, and the little LEDs are all alight, which is cool. Another marathon, not winning this time, I was third. This is the Adelaide Marathon in 1987. My nemesis, John Duck, won the race. I couldn't keep up with him, but I was third, and there are, thousands of people behind, so not bad. It's made a complete mess of my face, but at least it's got my running form pretty correct. So that's good. It shows it understands the dynamics of the human body. Here is one of my daughters who is now 30 and just about to have her own first baby, and AI's done an incredible job bringing that still photo to life. No, I'm not licking the dog. No, I'm not kissing the dog. I'm just imitating it. And yet AI understands everything about this photo. It knows how a dog laughs and yawns and smiles. What it doesn't know is what I actually look like, so it's completely ruined my boyish good looks. It understands the water, it understands the raft, it understands the dogs just floating there and soaking wet. It knows, it's even captured the dog's mood really well. That's exactly right. It's not what I look like though, and I don't know what's happened with my tongue there, that's bizarre. Louis again, Louis the dog, Louis the Labradoodle. Once again, a still photo, and yet AI fully understands the dynamics and motion of a pet. Brilliant. That's exactly how that dog walked. And you saw my dad as an infant child, and this was my dad 1 week before he died of a sudden massive heart attack. So it's nice to have this last memory of him, and it's even nicer to see him brought to life like this, because that is absolutely how he would have reacted. So here we have a memory that's not real and yet somehow very real. Weird, eh? It's me. I gave AI 2 photos. This one, as I'm surrounded by a lot of very capable race drivers, all of them much better credentialed than I am. So I was kind of flattered. I think they're mocking me. I call this photo the adoration of the Magi, and it's kind of self-mocking, which they did so well because Elliot grabbed my balls for the second photo. Hilarious. So I said to AI, what can you do with this? And it came up with this. A very authentic representation of what actually happened. Thank you, Elliot. Please don't do that again. Now, I don't know who painted this wonderful watercolour of the cardinals in the Vatican admiring Jesus' amazing breakdancing skills, but I find it very entertaining. And I thought, what a great candidate for AI. What can we do with this? Well, as it turns out, it makes a complete mess of it. Those are moves that even ray gun wouldn't be able to do. So that is not just bizarre, but it's quite disturbing actually. Yes, so I said to AI, well, maybe, how about I just give you a text prompt and say, can you show Jesus entertaining the cardinals in the Vatican with his breakdancing skills? And this is what it came up with. Pretty good. And another version, much better. So that's AI. Now, if that doesn't concern you about the future of humanity, it probably should.